Viewer discretion is advised for this educational documentary. Welcome back to CASE Documentaries. I bring you true crime, disturbing stories and other things that you may later regret knowing with regular uploads every week. Please do join the quickly growing, incredibly supportive CASE family by hitting subscribe now and turning on notifications. Thank you so much to all of my patrons. If your name is on screen right now, then you're a legend. Our love and respect goes out to all those that knew and loved Matthew and all those affected by today's dark case. Matthew Cecchi was born in 1989 to Louis and Sharon Cecchi in Anaheim, California, USA. Matthew also had a 3-year-old brother and a big family who really loved him. He was particularly close to his parents who doted after him. His mother was never far away. They even went to the bathroom together. Matthew played a lot of baseball with his father. Father Louis has gone on record to say that his son Matthew was his very best friend. This branch of the Cecchi family didn't get to see their extended family very often, but when they did meet, they tended to go on camping trips. Matthew felt safe with uncles, aunts, cousins, nephews and grandparents. Wherever he went, he was always surrounded by someone or several people who loved him deeply. And that is why what happened to little Matthew is so very heartbreaking and so very shocking. Oceanside, California is a coastal city known for its beautiful palm tree dotted beaches, the nearby Oceanside Harbor, marinas and its numerous shops. It is home to the California Surf Museum, which traces the sport's history and includes surfboard collections and exhibits of its most famous athletes. It's also home to the Oceanside Museum of Art, where countless sculptures, paintings, and other media from the city are displayed. Around 130,000 people live in Oceanside. It is a very popular tourist destination for people visiting California from outside, and it's also popular with people from within the state. On November 14th, 1998, the entire Cecchi family was at a dedicated camping area in Oceanside, California. They were once again getting together for their family reunion. They had reserved the entire area and only Louis Cecchi was missing from the big meeting. He was sadly battling leukemia at the time and could not make the trip. However, Matthew was with Sharon and the rest of his extended family. Matthew told his mother that he wanted to go to the bathroom by himself, and despite her reservations, Mother Sharon agreed to her son's wishes, but made sure he was escorted by his aunt. She watched him walk into the bathroom and waited for him outside, but Matthew seemed to just be taking too long. Numerous men streamed in and out of the bathroom, and as time stretched on, she grew more and more worried. She eventually called out for Matthew after she saw a somewhat suspicious teen with a shaved head enter and exit the bathroom. "What's going on?" he'd hissed at her as he passed her by, and that had been enough to make her panic. After calling for him again and still getting no response, she rushed into the restroom, and this was followed by a blood-curdling scream. Matthew Cecchi entered a public bathroom alone for what might have been the first time in his entire life. His aunt stood outside waiting for him, standing guard. She wanted to make sure he didn't feel as awkward or afraid of the different faces that he saw. She was just outside. And nervous as he was, Matthew took his time at the urinal. He never saw the attacker coming. A teenager much bigger than him stepped up behind Matthew. He grabbed him by the neck. The attacker was more than twice Matthew's weight. He simply would have been no physical match. The teen then pulled out a sharp hunting implement. He dragged it across Matthew from ear to ear. He then jabbed at him several more times before quickly exiting the bathroom. It was then that Matthew's aunt walked in. Her scream was a reaction to seeing Matthew laying on the bathroom floor. It was this scream that drew the attention of the entire camp. Dozens of people rushed in to try and revive Matthew, but everyone failed. Some small comfort was that Matthew passed away in the arms of the people that loved him the most. However, Matthew's ill father had to be told this information via a phone call. The police arrived at the scene minutes after Matthew's demise and cordoned off the area. However, they were unable to find their mysterious teen. Dozens of men were in and out of that public beachside restroom, and several of them had fled by the time that Matthew's aunt discovered him. The lack of CCTV cameras in 1998 meant that progress on this case was much slower than it would probably be today. However, the police caught a lucky break 2 days later when the killer struck again. This time his victim was a 40-year-old woman on her way to work. He had been unable to end her life in his initial attack, so he chased her down with his sharp implement and continued to jab at her. He would have succeeded in claiming his second life if the woman's co-workers had not been able to pull him off of her. Witnesses bravely held him down until the police arrived. The sharp hunting implement they recovered matched the wounds inflicted on Matthew. When they brought the teen in for questioning, the police discovered that they might have caught an unstable serial killer still in his infancy. The teen was Brandon Wilson. He started talking almost immediately after the interrogation started. Brandon Wilson was a drifter from St. Croix. He hadn't had a home since the age of 14, and he was a heavy user of illicit substances. He had had multiple substance-related arrests in the past, and local law enforcement was unfortunately familiar with him. He claimed to hear voices from God and participate in psychoactive substances. A psychiatrist determined that Wilson had delusions of grandeur and psychosis. He believed he was a special emissary of God, and that killing people was his unique way of collecting souls. Wilson seemed aloof, oddly comfortable, and even cheerful when he was challenged for his insane beliefs.
I let him fall to the ground. And I stabbed him one last time. Here. In the back. And so I stand up. Go ahead. Please. I stand up. Well, he's there, and I'm like, and when I've been thinking about this, I was thinking that I wanted to take something from him, that I wanted to drink his blood or something, but I don't really think about doing it with this one.
So you wanted something from him, okay? So how many times did you stab him where did you stab him?
In the back.
Yeah, where?
Just once.
Okay, where though?
Right here.
Okay.
Okay, it's just...
Let me see where. Okay, and around there?
Yeah,
Okay.
And it just...
Show me where about the area.
Like right in there.
Okay, right in there. So you're doing it a lot of times there. You're doing it multiple times.
I did it once and
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
And, you know, I mean, it didn't...
Okay,
He was already dead, you know? I mean, I just did it, just to do it.
Okay, so you did it after you knew he was already dead. Okay, so let's say I'm the kid. Okay, let's act this out. Okay, are you with me on that? Okay. Let's say I'm here, and Tom, why don't you move over there for a second? Okay, Brandon, come on over here and show me. Okay, now be gentle with me now, okay? Okay, I'm the kid. What am I doing?
You're pissed.
Okay, I'm taking a leak?
Yeah.
Okay, and what do you do now? Show me.
Okay, I walk around you this way and you look at me.
Okay, I look over like this?
And you say that, but I kind of smile and I nod.
Okay.
I smile and I nod. You know me.
Okay.
I'm going to kill you.
Does he look back?
Yeah, then he looks back.
Okay, then what happens?
I stop. I take out my knife.
Okay. I noticed you pulled out your knife like that. Is that where you had it?
I have it right here.
Okay, that's cool. Then what happens?
I took it out like this.
Right?
I got it all figured out. I got it put in the sheath the right way, so the sharp end is here.
Right?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
I go up behind him.
Go ahead, show me.
Grab him like this.
Right?
I take him like this.
Right? And you let it have it.
Yes.
Then what do you do?
I hold him like this.
Okay.
And he's spurting.
Right.
Spurting.
Okay, good.
Okay. And he's starting to sink down.
Okay, then what happens? You let him have it like that?
One more time.
Then what
He
happens?
goes down. He goes all the way down.
All the way down?
He's down on the ground.
Then what happens?
I'm leaning over him.
Right?
I take the knife.
Right?
Stab him like this.
Right?
One last time.
Right?
I pull it out.
And then what happens then?
He's dead. I stand up. Start backing away. And here's Mother's voice.
You hear his mother's voice?
His mother's voice.
Okay, why don't you sit down? What happens?
His mother's calling him.
What is she saying? Do you know?
Saying, Danny, are you in there? What are you doing in there, Danny? And then, and I think, what am I going to do? I'm going to kill her. I have to kill her, you know? Should I wait for her to come in here and kill her in here? But I got this energy flowing. I can't stand still. I can't. So I go out.
You get this rush.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have the knife in my hand, and she's standing there. And she's looking at me. At first there's fear, but I run towards her and I get right up next to her. And I look at her and I go, what's going on? And her eyes get big and get excited and happy. Her eyes get so happy.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
But I just run. I don't kill her, I just run.
You ran?
Yeah.
Okay, where'd you run?
And she goes in the bathroom and she comes out. I mean, she doesn't stay in there, you know, for a second. She just sees it and she comes out screaming.
Okay.
She's screaming and she's screaming. What she's screaming is, Danny's gone. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And she runs. She sees me and she's like, ah, ah. And she's running and I run parallel with her, you know, like along the road. And she's like a little bit ahead of me and I'm running parallel with her and she's screaming.
Brandon incriminated himself the moment his interview started. He told the detective interviewing him that God told him to kill, but that he'd chosen Matthew by chance. The boy simply had the misfortune of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. He also mentioned that he saw 2 other people on his way out to the beach, but he decided against killing them because they were too impure. He recounted Matthew's death with a sort of callous disregard. He said he walked past Matthew's aunt into the public bathroom and then spotted Matthew standing there. He said he simply grabbed him and then carried out the attack. Brandon seemed to gain a strange sense of joy as he explained what had happened to the detective, and he even went as far as role-playing and correcting the man repeatedly, just to make sure they definitely got the full scope of what the murder had entailed. Every grisly detail. He still flip-flopped between facts though. At some point he claimed to have only jabbed Matthew once, but other times he said it was multiple times. He said, and I quote, I just saw him standing there, and I wanted to drink his blood or something. Brandon spoke of vital fluids spurting, of seeing him down on the ground, and of hearing his mother's voice. As you'd expect, Brandon Wilson's case quickly proceeded to trial. The case of Brandon Wilson was one of the strangest and most disturbing cases that Judge John Einhorn had ever dealt with. Years later, Einhorn referred to the trial of Brandon Wilson as the most haunting case I've ever had. Brandon initially pleaded not guilty due to insanity, and his trial began on September 13th, 1999. He told the jury that he had ended Matthew's life because God told him to go on a killing spree.
What's the time estimate for the preliminary hearing?
Your Honor, the time estimate is going to be, I'd say, 1 day. We need a time when the defendant.
I want to talk to myself. I did it. I killed him. I killed the little boy.
Request, Your Honor, that the defendant be removed from courtroom at this time.
Well, no, he's not going to be removed. It's true. Don't say anything else at this point. Now, we're going to set this for a preliminary hearing December 18th, and that'll be at 8:15, 8:30 in Department F. Now, Mr. Wilson, you have a right to a preliminary hearing within 10 court days of your arraignment and no later than 60 days of your arraignment. Do you agree to waive time so we can set this for preliminary hearing on December 18th?
Can I do it before that?
You need to give your attorney time to prepare your case.
I don't need an attorney.
Yes, you do. You're in a lot of trouble.
I know. I realize that. I accept it.
Okay. So your attorney is saying he needs that much time to prepare for you. So do you agree to waive time so we can set this for that date?
I want to do it as soon as possible.
Okay, Mr. Owen, apparently your client does not wish to enter a time waiver.
I understand that, Your Honor.
Knowing that, do you want it to be a no time waiver date, or do you still want this set for the 18th?
I want it set for the 18th, Your Honor, and I think the statements of the defendant indicate a very good reason why there is good cause why this matter ought to be continued until the 18th to allow me to prepare for that hearing.
We're going to set this.
That's
enough. That's enough. Mr. Rubin?
Perhaps we could set this in a demand time setting. Perhaps we could set it, if Mr. Owen wishes, we could set it for hearing between now and that demand time date, and we can further vet this issue or explore this issue.
I've not quite followed what you were saying, Dave.
If I may approach that.
No. We're going to set this. We're going to set this for December 18th at 8:30 in Department F. We're going to set this over the defendant's objection. This case is complicated enough that the amount of time necessary for Mr. Webb to prepare, he's going to have that amount of time. That's still a very reasonable time to have a preliminary hearing. Now, even though the defendant objects, his constitutional right to prepared counsel takes precedence over his statutory right to a preliminary hearing. And I'm going to find that that right prevails, and so we are going to set this for the 18th. That's what it's going to be. All right.
Just for the record, we've provided to Mr. Owen the first 20 pages of discovery as well as a videotape today. The record should reflect that.
His public defender, Kurt Owen, painted him as an insane young adult who had heard voices, and he tried to tug on a jury's heartstrings by drawing on his tragic upbringing. According to Owens, Brandon first started experiencing the urge to end someone's life when he was a young teenager. At 13 years old, he was profoundly affected by his parents' divorce, and his anger manifested in a strong urge to end his mother's life. Owen later talked about how Brandon was changed by the death of his best friend. He had been, unfortunately, in a car when his friend had passed away. He was awarded a $25,000 settlement for the injuries he had sustained in this accident, and he used the money to travel the country and to find God. It was that fervor that drove him to substance abuse, and then eventually to murder. Any sympathy that the jury had felt for him evaporated when the prosecution showed them the interrogation tapes. Brandon was smiling and joking with the detectives, all whilst they interviewed him about the death of Matthew. His behaviour sealed his fate. The jury quickly found him guilty on September 28, 1999. Oddly, Brandon reacted to this verdict with a smile. Before the sentencing, he chose to testify, going against the advice of his counsel. And what he said surprised and terrified the court and jury. "I did it," he said. "I want to talk myself. I did it. I killed him. I killed the little boy." He told the court in a deliberate and calm voice that he felt no remorse in doing what he did to Matthew. "I would do it again in a second if I had the chance," he declared to the jurors, with Mother Sharon sitting just across from him. "Execute me," he begged. "You should do everything in your power to rid the world of me. Execute me. My whole purpose in life is to help destroy your society. You people are here as representatives of that society, and as such, you should do everything in your power to get rid of me." Unsurprisingly, after his declaration, Brandon got exactly what he wanted. The judge sentenced him to death row on November 4th, 1999, even after the pleas of mercy from his own lawyer. Judge Einhorn called Wilson beyond the pale of salvation. "Mr. Wilson, you have made real every parent's nightmare. By your twisted and selfish actions, you have taken from us our most precious asset, that is, our children." In a letter read by a friend of the family, Michael Lampf, Matthew's father told the court that Wilson had destroyed their happy family of four. Because of his heinous act, he had become a robot. He'd endured divorce, cancer, and murder all in 1 year. He felt like an actor in a horror movie. Matthew's father passed away shortly after writing this letter. Mother Sharon also came to the courtroom with her scathing letter to Wilson. It read, "May he not relish in our pain. Let him see the face of a dying person every day and every night. And let that face be his own. This is what he wants. This is what the jury demanded. Let it be done." 13 years to the day, her words almost seem prophetic. In November 2011, Brandon was found deceased in his cell at San Quentin prison. This was just weeks before his execution. When they were interviewed about his passing, Gina Lampf, wife of Michael Lampf, said that his actions had destroyed many lives. Their families never really recovered from what he had done to sweet Matthew. They said, "He gave himself the justice that was coming." No one was sad to see Brandon Wilson go. Do you think the punishment fits the crime here? What do you think of the final outcome? Please do let me know down in the comments. And do make sure, if you appreciate what I'm doing here, to hit that like button. Be careful out there, and I'll see you soon.